exception. Orange's Druid will be out of the contention. That was a Mali Druid. Ike's Paladin will be gone. That is an odd Paladin deck. So that leaves the Paladin, Hunter, Priest for Orange, and the Druid, Shaman, and Rogue for Ike. It's an even Shaman.
You're standing two very different styles of formats. In Conquest, you're trying to have lineups that don't have those pinpointed weaknesses. Or if they do, it's stuff that your opponents aren't popularly going to target. You want to have spots in your lineup that can shore it up. You don't want to be left super vulnerable to something. In Last Hero Standing, it's often about having counter options available to you. When your opponent wins with a deck, you need to have a deck strong against it because you don't want to have those even matchups. You want to snowball the series, take back that lead, and then secure that victory at the end. I look at the lineup for Orange, and Odd Paladin is the reason that I think that he could beat Ike in this one. I normally always am a pick Ike kind of guy. Ike's a good friend, he's a good deck builder, and he's taught me a lot about the game, how to simplify a lot of scenarios where I was overthinking and overcomplicating things. But man, I'm worried about this Odd Paladin, should that show up. Orange's leading off here with the Clothing Gallery Priest. It's a deck that's vulnerable to aggression, and that's exactly what Ike has on game number 1, though.
Yeah, Ike does have a very aggressive lineup, and I can share that sentiment when you're thinking about the Odd Paladin being very strong against Ike's lineup. A lot of times, though, it'll come down to, let's say Ike gets the even Shaman into Odd Paladin. Sometimes it can come down to just as simple as rolling a Healing Totem on turn 1 to win the game. That's why I really like this even Shaman from Ike. I think in Last Hero Standing, sometimes it's also just a very important necessity to have a deck that is almost 50-50 across the entire board. A lot of times, we'll see maybe even Warlock because it's one of those decks that potentially can sweep or beat anything. And I think even Shaman has that strong potential.
So what to you is like one of the big factors here when you're looking at this matchup? Orange coming with this combo-heavy deck, the main goal for him is to get to that card he just took right there. Xerx's Cloning Gallery makes a 1/1 copy of as many minions in his deck as it can onto the board. It can't hit the same minion twice. If you want to hit the same minion twice, it means you got to have 2 copies of it in there. It counts each minion independently. What's the main factor that Orange is looking for if he's going to survive this onslaught early on?
He's definitely going to need some tools like Holy Smite, the Shadow Word Pain, potentially a Psychic Scream later on in order to kind of stabilize and get to that point. He can take a little bit of early game damage. He doesn't want to take too much necessarily. So he has a couple of the tools to get him there. I think a lot of this depends on how quick of a start Ike's Even Shaman can bring. So for instance, Ike's Even Shaman is a bit slower because it does have those tech options like the 0 mana spells, whereas most Even Shamans, they just kind of run that minion package. And that card right there, I forgot that was a card.
Well, that's the reason you'd be running the 0-cost package in there.
You're not
Good old
wrong.
Thunderhead, Overload makes some guys. And so that was my question then for Ike's side. Obviously Ike is the aggressor in the matchup. He wants to be able to end it quickly. Is it the timing of the pressure that you think matters more, or is it just a continuous stream of things? You just get something online and then find a turn to try and punish with like a Flame Tongue Totem or what have you. And
that's one of the good things about Even Shaman is you kind of can mix it up based off how your hand pans out. A lot of times you can have these early game tools where you kind of just flood the board, for instance, and you just flood it really quickly. You get the Flame Tongue down, you put the pressure on, because Priest notoriously has a hard time dealing with Flame Tongue if they don't have the Shadow Word Pain. And then sometimes you just go with a mid-range plan where you play a Thunderhead or you get down a Fire Elemental.
Look at Ike, because he just a very questionable inclusion, if you ask me. I don't think Beaker Lightning is necessarily making the cut in too many of my decks. I get why it's here, but you look at it this turn and whew,
Beaker Lightning, however, is that special sauce at the restaurant we were mentioning earlier, where you mix it in from time to time just so you can clean up those paladins.
Yeah, double Mind Blast drawn too. I mean, Orange is setting up to be able to have the victory when Xerx's Cloning Gallery comes out. If he's able to secure all the damage buffs and the cost reduction, you get the Mind Blast twice for 20. And so this is really what I was wanting to look at with that timing. Ike's been pretty patient with his Flame Tongue Totem right now, and now he's also seen a Shadow Word Pain. So being able to play big minions, that's really cool, but being able to play very high-value threats is also an important thing. Orange used that Shadow Word Pain leading into turn 6, where he knows he's going to play Shadow Essence, because he knows he's not going to have time to Shadow Word Pain on this Flame Tongue Totem. Ike's saving it for the exact same reason that Orange is using his Shadow Word Pain before it gets to this point. Yeah, I wanted to talk about it and have them set it up, but they just did everything for me, and I just explain it in hindsight.
I mean, that's what Ike's known for. He's known for, not only the wacky decks he builds, but he is a very proficient pilot in a lot of these decks.
Yeah, this is a really good example of playing aggression and understanding timing of it. When your opponent's making their important turns, that's when you want to apply the most pressure, because that's when your opponent is most likely to have to change their game plan to do something else about it. changing game plans right now, I don't think it's named the game for Ike. I think we're getting close to that full steam ahead point.
It is a little scary staring down a Malagos. I mean, we can see that there are 2 Mind Blasts in the hand. That's quite a bit of damage, but Ike is going to want to set up a 2-turn lethal if at all possible. The question he's going to ask himself is, can he do that while killing this Malagos as well?
Well, he's got 7 on board if he chooses to use the obvious kill. Fire Elemental on the Malagos, trade in the totem, the taunt totem that shifts over the damage from the Flame Tongue over to the Berkspark Eel, so that drops Orange to 15, and then you're representing 6 plus 7 on board, plus whatever you'd have in your hand. So Ike instead, he's going to slow that down and say, you know what, it's not quite as good, but I'm going to go with it this way. Even holds on to the Earth and Might in this spot. Then a Psychic Scream turn, so maybe he doesn't want to throw that away.
And that's why he also didn't totem there, is because he did not want to give up the, Psychic Scream to be as powerful as possible. There is some, minor things where holding onto cards does mean you kind of reduce the Witchwood Grizzly. So that can help in the longer run as well. And maybe, Ike sees this more as, if he cannot win with the aggression, sometimes he can get there on value.
I think you definitely can get there on value. Something else too is if, the timing pressure here against Psychic Scream, if Orange doesn't have Psychic Scream, you're going to secure a bit of damage here. You have Bone Mare to be the one that's beefing up that damage, then you have a Fire Elemental afterwards. Does Orange ever find himself at a life total where, going into a Cloning Gallery turn, it's either win or bust?
Storm Forged Axe.
Wacky cards.
That is an even cost card if I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, it is.
The number 2 is even, Admiral.
You ever played a Storm Forged Axe? Because I have.
I think I have.
I dislike pretty much every time I do it.
I'm probably going to agree with you there. In my one time probably playing it.
This is a really unique spot here for Ike, too. The coin from that Gilded Gargoyle on Orange's side, that is such an important tool to Orange's deck. Ike has an opportunity here to shift away the Taunt Totem from the Flame Tongue Totem, so that way that Gilded Gargoyle is not going to fetch a coin on the following turn.
Oh, it doesn't look like he's going to go for that. I really liked what you were suggesting there with the placement, because if he doesn't get the coin, he can't coin out the most powerful play in the deck, and that is the Xerx's Cloning Gallery. So a little thing like placing that Bone Mare, taking the attack first and placing that Bone Mare over, could have changed the entire course of this game.
It's a tough call to make, too, because Orange does have to have Cloning Gallery here, and then he's got to have the goods to back it up. And well, right now he does, and I'm pretty sure the way his deck is built, I think this is just guaranteed lethal, actually. I think with the combinations of minions left in Orange's deck, that is a guaranteed lethal setup because he's drawn some of the minions that are not a factor into that one-turn kill. So if you're wondering what just happened, Orange plays Xerx's Cloning Gallery, bunch of 1/1 sweep onto the board. He's got 2 minions that reduce the cost of spells. He's got Malagos, he's got Prophet Velen, so plus 5 damage and then double that damage. 2 free Mind Blasts for 20 each.
And you know how I knew it was lethal? The Shaman exploded.
Yeah. But if you're wondering how the lethal happened.
That's very important, because Orange did do that very quickly.
And that's how I feel when I play against that deck sometimes. I'm like, oh, I'm crushing him, I'm winning. Oh, I'm dead.
Out of nowhere, you're just dead.
And the deck is very feast or famine in its strategy. It either produces spectacular wins or it goes out in a, I guess a blaze of glory is the right call for it. It usually just kind of dies when it's not doing its thing.
It's not much of a blaze of glory when it just kind of can't do anything.
But that's the first aggressive deck taken down for Orange now.
Yeah. I do think the Priest actually isn't that bad against the aggressive decks. I think it's more so susceptible to something like Odd Rogue. I think Odd Rogue does do very well against it. But something like Even Shaman, where it doesn't necessarily have the burn from the hand, I think it has a fair chance against it.
You said Odd Rogue.
And there it is. Say it 3 times and it comes.
How much different is this matchup now for Ike, though? I mean, you kind of mentioned that Even Shaman is not quite as aggressive of a deck. It's more of a flexibility in game plan is what keeps it strong. What's the difference here?
So this one is going to be much more aggressive in the early stages of the game. You're going to be able to get onto the board, not necessarily as wide, but you will get onto the board faster with taller minions. For instance, a Henge Clan Thug or a Vicious Fledgling, or even this SI7 agent. It's much different than, say, a Mudspurk Eel or just a totem that if you don't have the Flame Tongue totem to back it up. And this play right here, this is another one.
Yeah.
I love this play.
Yeah.
This is my favorite Hearthstone play.
I think right now this Holy Smite might be one of Orange's favorite Hearthstone plays as well. You don't want to really be facing down cold-blooded minions this early.
It's one of the few tools that the Priest does have to kind of combat this. But even so, I mean, Ike's probably just going to play an SI7 agent and say, deal with this one now.
Well, Orange looks like he's thinking about some stuff here. It does have double Spirit Lash and Smite, so he could handle a 3/3 on the following turn if he lets this connect.
True.
That would give him time to use Shadow Visions. He could simply heal for 2 in that spot. Orange has got a very strong hand for handling this kind of pressure right now. And it's not just as simple as see big minion kill the minion. Sometimes it again is that same factor. It's about the timing of the pressure. Orange has a Shadow Essence in hand, so he wants to make sure that he disrupts Ike's Fungal Mancer turn before he goes into that. He's got a Spellstone in hand. If he's able to hang on by a thread and then recover by reviving key minions, that's another way for him to win in this situation. I think that Orange using a tool here to set up a Spirit Lash Smite on this following turn is really clever.
I think it is as well. I think it's a very good spot from Orange. Obviously, the go-to was, Holy Smite the 5/2. But like you were mentioning and like you were saying, setting up for future turns is something that separates like really good Priest players from, the mediocre ones. And I think that might be a key to why this deck, isn't as popular. But if it's put into the hands of a very good pilot, it can produce results like this.
It's a little tricky stuff.
Yes. We like tricky stuff.
Tricky stuff's tricky.
It's tricky to play around the odd road cards. It's tricky.
It's tricky, all right.
Tricky, tricky, tricky.
Ike going to take time to dagger up here. Wants to develop strong into the Fungal Mancer turn. When he sees a Spirit Lash that early, I think, Orange pretty much telegraphs that he's got another Spirit Lash.
Yes.
In that vein.
So Ike may not necessarily be thinking that it was a Spirit Lash Holy Smite setup, but he thinks that, oh, okay, maybe one of the few ways he could deal with it was Spirit Lash this turn to set it up on the following turn.
Yeah. And now with both Spirit Lashes gone, he secures himself a Fungal Mancer spot. I don't believe there's actually any tools in the deck that get Orange out of this situation. Fungal Mancer's going to land.
Could get another Holy Smite from the Shadow Visions to clean up both of the 1-drops, so the Fungal Mancer won't land as strong. So there's definitely there's something to be spotted there, but the issue is, as soon as you commit to that, you're kind of stuck with that line of play. So I don't mind holding the Radiant Elemental as well.
I almost feel like I'm in the opposite camp of that. I feel like playing the Radiant Elemental can perhaps, just alleviate the life total a little bit, but maybe doesn't want to water down a revive pool or wants to save it for a key moment. Psychic Scream also a very big tool. If you can manage to stay alive, it's a very different story you're looking at with Psychic Scream, being able to buy you so much time later on.
Psychic Scream is the most crucial card in a lot of these aggro matchups, and living there is, the most crucial thing the Priest can do. Is just living to that turn 7 or that turn 6 where you can either Psychic Scream or coin out the Psychic Scream.
That's the tough part too.
Yeah, living there is the toughest part for Priest. The Priest decks nowadays are notoriously bad for trying to live to that point.
Yeah, when Orange plays the Radiant Elemental here afterwards, what that tells me too is that he had no intention of taking a Smite from Shadow Visions there.
You think so?
Oh, why would you not have played the Radiant Elemental first? At this point, Orange is looking at the hand and going, I don't think this is enough to survive. I just hope Ike starts attacking my things. And if he doesn't attack his things, that gives him coin and Psychic Scream on the following turn. Radiant Elemental is one of those high priority minions that you want to kill in a lot of Priest decks, because otherwise it lets them cheat. They get extra mana for free.
Cheating's not fun. Cheating's cheating.
Speaking of cheating out plays, I think this is pretty darn close to being about the only play Orange has. I mean, before I was looking at it, I'm like, coin essence doesn't get there sometimes.
I mean,
sometimes you get Vile Spine or what have you. The Grizzly, you get Vile Spine sometimes, but it provides you defense if that's not there.
Yeah, you kind of need the Grizzly here. And he's even going to commit the coin for the Holy Smite. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with this. But in Orange's mind, he needed to commit the Holy Smite that turn. Because, I know, you're looking at that Vile Spine.
Well, he needs a lot of things to happen now. That is a huge draw for Mike.
Massive. That Vile Spine was a pretty big draw. I was gonna allude to the Holy Smite earlier.
It's a hot draw.
It's a hot draw in Hot Atlanta. I was gonna allude to it earlier, though, saying that the reason he did that is because even if he can coin at the Psychic Scream, he's just gonna die the dagger. So he needed to play to his out there.
Yeah.
But You didn't play around that.
Yeah, the difference I'd say mainly in the way that the matchups between Even Shaman and Odd Rogue work is that Odd Rogue deals 2 damage a turn with its hero power, and Even Shaman hopes to deal some amount of damage eventually with its hero power. You know, it's more of a fight for board kind of hero power, and that's it. And you know, Odd Rogue is spend my life to fight for board or murder you because you're not doing anything.
Exactly, and that's why I think Odd Rogue has the upper hand in this matchup. But Orange is going to immediately, after this game is over, I mean, Orange is still holding on slightly, ever so slightly, but Orange is going to immediately have the Odd Paladin counter queue that you were mentioning earlier being very strong. I mean, effectively, the way it looks is because Orange got that first win, it looks like it may just go back and forth between these lineups. I mean, I'm looking right now, and I see Odd Paladin as the counter queue for Orange, and then let's say Ike loses that matchup, which typically the Odd Rogue struggles. Then the Mally Druid comes out. Then after that, the Death Rattle Hunter comes out. It's looking like it could be back and forth.
Yeah, and then Orange, I believe this is going to lock things up. If you got Ziliax from a Shadow Essence, would that be enough to sustain through this? Divine Shield hits in. He's going to gain 10 HP. So Ziliax from the Shadow Essence can, in theory, protect him sometimes, even through the Divine Shield being popped by an Argent Squire. When Ziliax's attack hits a Divine Shield, it doesn't have the lifesteal effect activate.
And that's all hoping Myra's Unstable Element draws 9 cards that don't stop.
Well,
that.
I'm talking about from his perspective. You know,
this is a very theoretical world we're living in.
You're looking at one card in Ike's hand. That could be anything. It could be a Baku. It could be an Argent Squire. But instead it's a Radiant Elemental. We don't have to talk about that much more. Ike answers back. And I think you're right about the queue up here too. Orange with Death Rattle Hunter and Odd Paladin left. It's a last hero standing format, so Ike's on deck again with this Odd Rogue. You keep the deck you win with. The deck that loses, it's gone.
Get it out of here. Never want to see it again.
Yeah.
Zare's Cloning Gallery Priest? Out of
Shut
here.
that Cloning Gallery Priest up.
Exactly. I didn't go to that restaurant.
Yeah, I can't imagine queuing Death Rattle Hunter here. That just feels like...
No, you have to go with this. And Orange right now, it's going to need a full maul. It's going to need one of those 1-drops. Ike right now...
Wow.
If there's a hand to beat Odd Paladin, it's this opening hand.
That's a nice little farm some Odd Paladin hand right there. Lots of 1/3s. Got a Firefly to provide some substantial presence on board. But Orange got the Divine Shield minions early, too, in this maul.
Sometimes having all the 1/3s and Fireflies in the world isn't enough.
Yeah, sometimes.
As crazy as that sounds.
I'm waiting to see what this unidentified maul is. What's it going to pick up here?
Let's identify it.
Right click, it starts to go. Boom! That's the old...
I'm telling you, Admirable, that's the only maul I've ever seen exist in Hearthstone. I'm not joking. That maul, I think, is more common than the other one.
That's a new one for me. I always see the Divine Shield one. Other guys always get the bubble whenever they play it against me.
Sounds like you don't play enough Odd Paladin then.
Yeah. Easy coin turn for Ike here, too. I mean, this matchup is about snagging the board pressure as soon as you possibly can.
And this followed up by Firefly Flame Elemental on the following turn, followed by Tar Creeper. Admirable Tar Creeper.
Or the Vicious Fledgling and get busy, too. The Divine Shields are a big blessing here for Orange in being able to fend off as many attacks as he can. But with the Firefly backup here, the way that Ike is going to win the matchup, I think, isn't necessarily just through continuing to smash board. It's smash board, take control, pressure back.
Exactly.
You got to go tall against Paladin very quick, or the 2/1/1s don't stop every single turn. Eventually, you get taken back over.
Champion's Maul was a decent pickup. Does allow him to clean up one of these minions at least.
That is a fantastic draw.
He needed that draw right now. Because if it wasn't for that, he would have to go Hero Power 1-drop. And if he went Hero Power Argent Squire, board just gets cleaned up.
Yeah, for me, for Orange here, it really is about that maul because he's only got one cost minion left in hand. So if he chooses to use that now with the hero power, I think he's losing out a little bit unless he picks up something significant on the following turn. But it's Odd Paladin, so you're not going to find 2-cost cards, you're going to find 1s and 3s. That hand doesn't look like it's fitting much with 1s and 3s right now.
Very weapon heavy as well. Although I do think this Champion's Maul was probably one of the better draws in the deck. Looks like he might just clean up, 2 minions. It looked like he was hovering over
Well, it makes a lot of sense to do that, too, I think.
Definitely a hard call to make, especially with that level up in hand, but you already know that they're going to make the trades for you, and it would put 3 minions at 1/1s. Here's that vicious fledgling
Now,
you were talking about.
This is the one difference with that trade, though. If Orange had not traded, he would have a minion left on board and be able to kill this vicious fledgling instead. So Orange taking out a minion in that spot, this could be very costly because of this turn here from Ike.
Something as little as that small detail could cost this game. I wasn't a huge fan of the trading. I would accept that one of the 1/1s died, keep the other one on the board. You kind of want to try and have 1/1s around because you know they're going to trade.
Here we go.
All right, what's in the box?
Oh, boy.
Wind Fury.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Wind Fury again.
Mega Wind Fury!
Keep it going.
Yeah, you can see Ike has brought the full suite of Dire Moles, including the fancier Dire Mole. Always a full golden deck kind of guy.
Oh, I love the fully golden decks. That was a tradition I used to do.
I am a large purveyor of golden cards.
Oh, admirable. That's why we get along. You're a man of taste. Eloquent taste in golden cards.
Should
I mean, look at that vicious fledgling. He just looks so happy.
It is very vicious right now. I don't know if happy's the right word.
Oh, Ike is happy.
Well, yeah, Ike's very happy about it. Oh, nice pickup off the Stonehill, though. That could, you know, maybe play some defense for a bit, where otherwise your hand is, you know, a pretty miserable mess of cards that are disjointed and not really doing much right now.
Oh my gosh, the 1-drops just keep coming.
That's, you know, third of the deck.
But I'm pretty
Said he had them all early.
I'm pretty sure the only 1-drop we have not seen is the second Dire Mole. If he even runs the second Dire Mole. Okay, South Sea's fair. I meant the ones that were good against the Odd Paladin.
Does he run Argent Squire? Some of the decks I've seen cutting Argent lately.
I think they cut Argent Squire for the, I'm drawing a blank on the card's name. The 1/3 that's on the board right now.
Crystallizer?
Crystallizer.
I was thinking the additional 3-drops partially as well. You know, I've been seeing Blink Foxes in here additionally.
The list has a lot of room for adjustment.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Ooh, Ike just wants this vicious fledgling to be as large as possible.
This is an interesting turn here, too, where, you know, Ike does have some maneuverability with how he wants to play this. You know, is it more important to be wiping minions off board right now? And I think so.
I like it. Make sure there's no kind of shenanigans with something like a Lost in the Jungle level up. That could be pretty detrimental right now.
His board actually can handle Lost in the Jungle level up here. You know, if that were to happen, Orange, I think, would be on the no attacks plan. So Ike has, you know, he continued to cut his corners. And that's been a theme of what we've been looking for Ike as well. It's paying heed to your opponent's most powerful turns. Not just good turns from theirs in general, but just rather their most powerful one.
It's been paying off really well. And like you said, that vicious fledgling getting down as early as possible has escalated this game.
So key to have the 2/1/3s plus the Firefly.
Oh yeah, that without that, we could have just been, you know, having a reverse situation.
Oh yeah,
where Orange has 7 3/3s on the board, and the game is just over.
I mean, it's quite typically the opposite of what we're seeing right now.
I mean, Ike had all of the 1/3s, and then double Target Reaper, and the vicious fledgling to push the face damage. He's had the combination of a lot of it.
Yeah.
But this is a lot of taunt that Ike is going to need to get through.
Yeah, it's not quite Spreading Plague. You know,
spreading dudes.
When these die, you don't follow it up by doing, you know, giant things. You follow it up by, you know, hoping that you're not dead.
You don't follow it up with an ultimate infestation to kind of like replenish the entire hand you just lost.
And now with the Scalebane drawn, even the Witchwood Grizzly is going to end up getting checked here because of how much attack that Scalebane's going to provide on board.
And Scalebane started to make a resurgence partly because of the fact that, you know, Questrogue started dying off a little bit, which meant that you could afford to play these greedier cards to bump up other minions.
Well, it's also the fact that, you know, Giggling Inventor was, you know, in part taken out of this as well. You know, Giggling Inventor shut down mid-range cards that were really trying to just be high attack value in and of themselves. You know, Giggling Inventor was just, it's like, oh, that's cool. You have 2 big attack minions. You need to attack through 4 things. And Orange never coming back from this spot. It's going to give it up. And there goes what I feel was my prediction for this match. Ike able to trounce Odd Paladin here on the back of a very quick start. Orange is in trouble. Death Rattle Hunter left to take out Malagos Druid, which that's the easy one for it, but it's got to get through Odd Rogue first.
You know you're in trouble when you lose the counter queue. There is not a worse feeling in the world. You could tell me a lot of feelings that you felt, and I don't know if it would be worse.
Yeah, no, I feel a lot of feelings all the time. I tend to wear my heart on my sleeve where this kind of stuff's concerned. Orange, however, you know, I'd say like in the last year and a half or so, Orange has put a lot of time and effort into focusing on mentality, where before he would get very frustrated in these situations, but not like an angry frustrated, more like a what am I going to do now sort of frustrated. And instead, you just take it one step at a time. You look at, okay, well, how do I win the game? How do I overcome the bad situation? You know, Ike just overcame one. Why can't Orange? That's like, I think, the right mentality to have in these kinds of matchups, because it is tough, and you do expect to lose more often than you win, but that's just not how you win Hearthstone tournaments.
Yeah, I think a lot of players actually neglect to remember that. You know, mental health is very important. You know, just having a good mindset going into tournaments, going into just games in general, even if you are unfavored, even if it is a control warrior versus freeze mage, you just kind of have to take it at its face value. Just keep your head up.
No swing with the candle shot.
A little curious on that. I think it's more of a nod to the fact that Orange is pretty dedicated to swinging in the candle shot into, say, a Hench Clan Thug that might come down with the Hunter's Mark. So if he does put one hit into that, he's not killing this Crystal Weaver anyways.
Yeah.
And because of that, there's no real reason to hit into it.
I'm just looking at a second one in hand.
That is also true.
But, you know, this is also why I guess I lose these matchups a lot. It's like I just, you know, I'm not patient. I don't really know where the inflection points are. You know, Ike's got a decision in front of him with his egg. Are you an egg popper?
When this deck started getting popular, I was an egg scrambler. I'll admit it. I liked my eggs over easy, and that meant dead. But now, I just let it be. I just kind of let that egg sit on the board. I think there is no merit to killing it off. I think we've had this talk before. It's like, why give him a 5/5 to prevent giving him a 5/5?
That's kind of how I feel. I hate killing these things.
How do you like your real life eggs?
Poached? Is there another kind of egg?
I think scrambled eggs with hot sauce is pretty good.
Poached all the way.
Hot Lana.
I see so many people pop eggs. And the fear is that your opponent's going to make a chain of 5/5s.
But you just give him a 5/5.
Yeah, like, now you're giving him a 5/5 quick.
I got you, Admirable. You'll never make 5/5s because I gave you one.
I don't think it's a good idea.
I don't think so either.
And now you look at this 3-charge candle shot and you go, he just been spending these charges.
Exactly.
This might not have been a Cold Blood. However, it might have been a Tark Reaper instead. Protecting now a 1/1 while you have one charge of the candle shot left. Demanding that you play more mana later on. Ah! So many little things that happen in these matchups that make a big difference. And Orange, you know, plays this egg. He's hoping that he's like, please let I kill the egg. Please let I kill the egg.
Please give me something to do. Please give me something to do.
Yeah, this hand is in shambles right now. And while I think there's still recoverability here, we're going to go fishing for it. It looks like. That's when you know that the player's in trouble. When they're ready to play a card, they go, hang on a second. This is a really weak play.
I think they were really looking for a play dead here. I think Orange wanted a play dead pretty desperately. That way he could fit in with his mana curve and get something onto the board.
Yeah. Mind Control tech set up for the next turn.
Using Hunter's Mark on a 1-drop. Admirable. That was a 1-drop.
I'm very interested in this because Orange had just taken Mind Control tech. You know, I was looking at this and thinking he's going to, you know, see if Ike plays a minion, and then you Mind Control tech and you Hunter's Mark if there's something big left afterwards. He wants to preserve the health total, though. So Orange is looking down the road from this point to use Mind Control tech.
I don't think Orange could have taken that 5 damage. I mean, if he did take the Tar Creeper, and then he had Hunter's Mark on the following turn, that would have been game swinging.
Look, when Luck shuts the door, you got to open up the window. And I feel like Luck shut the door on this one very quick when the odd Paladin lost.
And when Luck shuts the window, you got to go to the tornado vault.
Yeah, that, you know, that's go to the panic room then.
You go to the panic room, exactly. And when you find out there's no panic room, I don't know what you're doing then.
I'm just trying to figure out where this plan is going.
I'm not quite sure. Playing over the candle shot.
Yeah, well, he's not playing that second candle shot for a long time, and he's going to need every little bit of help he can get.
There's an egg scrambler for you if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, don't think that one's coming down.
Don't think.
Well,
so
hang on a second. I'm not.
I'm actually a little curious to think about, you know, was there any potential for a Leroy play that turn? You could Leroy take 2 value trades.
The reason you don't want to play it right now is because you're setting up to fend off a Witchwood Grizzly.
Okay.
You know, that's going to be a common play for Orange on this turn. You know, that's one of the reasons that I'm kind of curious about the poison in that spot is Ike, you know, has Vile Spine on deck. This tells me that Ike is going to use, you know, Void River this turn unless he draws a 1-cost card and then make the push afterwards. And now with the SI7 drawn, if he gets a payoff through that.
Yeah, the SI7 was a very important draw. I think there could have been, a couple different things that he could have done to navigate earlier. I'm not quite sure I like the, just hero power deadly poison.
Yeah, I'm not sold on it either.
I wasn't sold on that one. I think with that SI7, it's going to pan out pretty well for him.
Look, I'm still looking at the product, but, I haven't bought it yet.
Yeah. You're still looking at the menu at this restaurant, and you're wondering, if this didn't come with the SI7.
I did it was a bad analogy, okay? You don't have to rub it in.
I love the analogy. I loved it. You wanted to order the Void Ripper martini, and then you were like, well, if it didn't come up with the SI7 olive, then I wouldn't have ordered it.
This guy's toast.
You get where I'm going with this.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Thanks, Abigail. Glad someone understands.
Mind Control Tech with a steal. It's 7 on board, 6 in hand for Leroy. Ike's got 13 on deck, plus 14, 15 from the hero power. If Orange doesn't draw something here that fends off, this is, I believe, checkmate. Oh, no, he's got the candle shot. I'm stupid. He can chip one of the 2-1s away.
We'll be able to do that. It's got to be MC Tech, Spider Bomb. There's nothing else here. Unfortunately, it takes one of the 2-1s, but, needed to take something here.
1 damage off lethal for Ike right now. By the hair of Orange's chinny chin chin.
And even being 1 damage off lethal, he's going to have Myras for refill.
Yeah, well, you also just, have a dagger up that demands another taunt.
Word on the
Orange.
street is the dagger can deal multiple turns of damage. He's looking for a cold blood.
No instantaneous damage found for Ike out of that Myra's. But again, the damage is still there.
I think Ike was just doing that to guarantee that he had some kind of Vile Spine enabler for the following turn.
Well, yes, but, I think he's just got a dagger up here.
I think so as well. No, Ike wants to play for board still.
Does have time to work with. Oh, he picked up the Sousey.
He has a Sousey deckhand, so he thinks he can follow up
there
with
we go.
having the dagger, the deckhand, and the Leroy
Yep.
the following turn.
That's enough to push lethal on that spot.
So yeah, I think minions were pretty good here. Tracking.
I can find a Rexar.
Rexar? Okay. Maybe there's a little bit more to this game.
There's a Rexar. That's clear skies.
But Orange is going to have to keep building beasts.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. The rest of his hand is blowing up his own minions and buffing his deck. He doesn't need his deck to be buffed. He needs to stay alive right now.
I mean, it is a saving grace right now, and it has to do it. There is no way around it. I think Orange is just thinking about how he wants to make these trades. Even probably going to sacrifice the Spider Bomb just to clear up that 1 drop.
So you play the Rexar first, and it helps you visualize things. You know you're going to play Rexar.
Yes.
Let's get that play. Up to 14 life. He can clear the board off here, but he could do it by he could keep the Spider Bomb around if he wanted to.
And I like that. I like the sound of that. Right now, Ike is in fatigue because of that Myra's unstable element.
This is a big yikes.
You're not wrong, Admirable. What looked like a sealed deal for Ike.
You got to kill the spider bomb before you attack base.
Play dead is a
It's dead.
dead card.
Yeah.
It is playing dead right now.
Ike's got bored though.
But Orange, he just builds that beast.
Well,
Oh, he might not even need to. He could go for the Spider Bomb Mega Cube.
oh, I am so glad I'm not in Orange's spot right now.
I mean, let's think. What I guess the most optimal build would be Cave Hydra plus Vicious Scale High.
Yes.
None of those are Cave Hydra.
He's got 6 mana to play with too, so if he takes Stampeding Kodo, he's not finding Lifesteal immediately. If he takes Iron Beak Owl, that's a weak body in and of itself.
If he takes Timberwolf, the Vicious Scalehide body is not going to be enough to kill anything on the board.
Not anything significant.
He could technically play the Spider Bomb with the Timberwolf if he does decide to go for that line of play.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking at too. At this point, do you just need efficiency?
When the only one that he can play this turn is Stone Tusk Boar. That's
Owl
his
Boar.
entire turn.
It's a Keleseth with it. Now, Orange is
Right.
in desperately stay alive mode right now.
How much damage does Ike have on the follow-up?
This is 8 damage with the Fungalmancer, 10 with the Leroy. So you Fungalmancer, that part's looking pretty easy. Play the Hench Clan Thug, that part's looking pretty easy. Let's add another 1-drop in here, that part looks pretty easy.
And send it on north. That part's looking the easiest.
Upstairs.
Even
Ike
gonna
splits
play
the
Flame
minions
Elemental. Yeah.
in Heed to Cave Hydra. Orange needs help. And that's not enough help.
I mean,
It looks
what
like he may be able to get
beast?
there, but you press that button.
It has
We
to
need some
be
lifesteal
Hydra.
here.
None of these do anything. I mean,
5 HP is what the most you could gain from this spot. It's the corpse widow plus lifesteal. That wipes out the Hench Clan Thug, gives you 5 extra health, takes you 11. You're
would
staring down
allow
lethal on
you
board
to
that way.
also play the Spider Bomb. But you're dead on board.
I think he's just dead. Big taunt. Maybe big taunt's the way you get out of this, but you know, Ike's got Vilespine in hand. Leroy Vilespine on 10 mana.
None of these have taunt either. Ike's going to take this.
Well, Rexar made it exciting.
Rexar definitely made it close.
Shaw, Spider Bomb, trying to live. But it's not going to do it. Ike's got the goods, and he's got a 3-1 victory over Orange in this one.
Told you that Odd Rogue. Odd Rogue is strong. I was worried when the Odd Paladin hit the Odd Rogue for Orange. But Odd Rogue, you know, sometimes, you know, it can catch you off guard. It's a powerful deck. Very good deck.
This is always a common sight for me when I see two very strong players after they finish a match. They always start talking about it right away.
It's hard not to.
They talk about strategy, too. I was like, man, strategy later, man.